Hello and welcome to Wealthy Money TV. This week's episode is all about how to become a real estate investor and start creating passive income. My guest today is Deon, who went from being heavily in debt, and then actually turning his life around and becoming a real estate investor. So Deon, welcome.
Hi, Vangile.
Why real estate investing?
Personally, I don't think there's any other way where people can safely have control of the way they would like to retire one day. And I opted for that option because if I give my money to a pension fund or to even shares sometimes, I don't know what they're doing with that money. Although they normally invest in property as well.
Wow.
So I just decided to take control of my own finances and use property to facilitate my retirement. So yes.
Now, that's quite interesting. I believe in exactly the same thing. I believe real estate investments is one of the better investments that you can make. I believe that there are many more out there. But at the same time, I'm just wondering, how did you go from being heavily in debt, very bad credit rating, to being able to even buy a house? Because I think that's that's the biggest challenge for all of us. I think for me, just as you know, I just answered a question, how did you get your house? Lots of prayer. Okay, but that's like really obviously the most basic explanation. I did a lot of practical stuff as well, but how did you do it?
Yeah, the thing is, obviously, first of all, you need to decide what you want to do and how you want to do it. What I decided was take my debt,
yes.
Make sure I understand what debt I've got, and if I would like to buy a house, like you're saying, you need a credit rating.
Yeah.
So I went to a couple of websites, and you can get all the credit bureaus.
Yes.
You can get a free credit rating. Or a credit score from them all, I think once a year. So first of all, go and find out what your score is, and you will see that many times those scores are calculated on things that you might not even have known existed, or accounts that you might not even have known that still existed, that was still in your name. Because I'm not sure about how long it stays on your name, etc. anymore. Because about 3 or 4 years ago, I was doing that on a month-to-month basis.
Wow.
Once a month, there's one company which consolidates all 3 credit bureaus into one report for you,
Yes.
and then gives you a score. And every month I tracked that one, and I wanted to make sure that every month my credit score became better and better and better. So it's all about numbers, and it's not difficult, but yeah, so you have to make sure that your credit score at least starts moving in the right direction. And the only way you do that is by minimizing your debt.
Okay. So now here's another thing. What for someone that has been in debt and then suddenly going right back into debt through a mortgage?
Yeah.
Isn't that defeating the purpose of becoming a real estate investor though? Because now I have the first mortgage, then you have the second, then you have the third, and you call yourself an investor. Is that really practical?
Yes, because I don't pay for my investment.
But it's all under your name.
That's 100% correct. It is more difficult to get finance for an investment property than to buy your own property.
Yes.
But again, it comes down to affordability, and you should never put yourself in a position where, if something goes wrong, because I buy the property to rent it out, obviously, if the tenant can't pay, you must be able to pay it, and that's how the banks look at it.
Okay.
So yeah,
even with an investment property.
I mean, more so.
Okay.
Because they say, you will look after your own property, but if it's an investment property, you might not look after it. But obviously, as an investor, I feel differently about it. For me, I'm far more comfortable buying a property, having somebody else pay for that.
Yes.
There's actually less risk. And with some of the products on the market these days, you get rental insurance,
yes.
Which they cover you for 3 or 6 months if you lose out on
Wow.
rent, etc. And they take up the legal process. So the risk for yourself is actually so small these days that it's actually not a bad idea to get into that.
Wow. So can anyone start out as a real estate investor?
I think that might be the easiest place to start because everybody understands property.
Yes.
I think people are scared about the amounts normally of a bond, etc. But again, if you do it with a little bit of funds available, if you've got an emergency fund available, so if something goes wrong, you can carry yourself, there should be no reason why you can't get into property investing.
Okay.
And actually, I think it is the most efficient way of securing your retirement as compared to other products.
I think so too, actually. So thank you so much, Deon. How can people get hold of you?
Yes, I've got a website, www.becomedebtfree.co.za. You guys can go and have a look there and read my story. And then you can see what steps I followed to get out of debt. And yeah, follow them and good luck and just get out of debt.
Okay, fantastic. And of course, if you want to get many more great videos like this and such awesome advice, please subscribe to Wealthy Money TV. Click on the subscribe button at the top. And I'll see you next week. In the meantime, have a phenomenal day. Namaste.
Thank you.